Welcome to the rededication ceremony of the Hawick 1514 monument, after being moved 6 feet across the road to allow the safe passage of large vehicles through Hawick, and the reburying of a time capsule. Ian Landals leads off.
Fellow Tearies, ladies and gentlemen, it's several years now since a conversation took place which has become part of the folklore associated with this fine monument, which is central to what we're doing today and which means so much to our Hawick folk. A man we had just recently come to the tune said to us, "How do people know the horse's name?" I said, "How do you mean?" He said, "The horse, it has a name." I said, "I reckon what you're on about." He said, "The horse, it's called Can. Everybody speaks about Can the horse." And it's true, if some stranger stops aside and rolls down their window of their car and asks for directions, it doesn't matter whether they come from Benster or Bangladesh. Before you can stop yourself, you've uttered the familiar words, "Do we ken the horse?" Now, who are ken the horse? And we speak about the horse, but of course, it's not the horse at all. It's the 1514 memorial. The actual horse is far less crucial to the story, which is so vital to the historic background to our common riding, than the man on its back. The Hawick Callant, we rode triumphantly him for the Hornsole skirmish in 1514. And certainly, the horse is far less significant than the flag won by the valour of our fearless sires of yore. And yet, we still talk about the horse. The 1514 memorial was commissioned to mark the 400th anniversary of the incident which took place the year after the Battle of Flodden, one of the greatest disasters in Scottish military history, when King James IV and the floor of the Scottish nobility and 10,000 ordinary men-at-arms were wiped out on Brankston Hill. Scotia felt thine ire, O Odin, on the bloody field of Flodden, where our fathers fell with honour round their king and country's banner. Tradition avers that very few, if any, of the Hawick men who emerged away ahint their feudal superior, Sir William Douglas of Drumlandrig, returned to tell the tale. Still numbed, reeling, and sunk in deep dejection at the loss of the bulk of its male population, word came to Hawick that one of the raiding parties, sent out under the overall command of the Earl of Dacre to lay waste the borderland, was encamped 2 miles down the Teviot near its confluence with the Trow Burn. It was then some youths who'd stayed from Flodden rallied up by Odin and set off in martial order down by Teviot's flurry border. Hardly old enough nowadays to play for the PSA or the Wanderers, the Hawick Callants, destined to become Scotia's boast, possessed by a single-minded determination to avenge their dead fathers and brothers and to save their mothers and sisters, on they rushed to be victorious or to fall in battle glorious. Hurling themselves down into the Hornsole hollow, they charged the foe with native valour, routed them and took their colour, and hame up the river they marched in the pale light of yon fair-off June dawn, proudly displaying the trophy so gallantly won, and returned safe in. Sunlight at last, and the dancing day, and a quick-eyed lass to see the twinkling spears be Teviot side, and a pennon fluttering free, and the cobbles ring to the running feet, and the clamouring fife and drum, as hame again through the crowded yets, the gallant laddies come, and annual since, a replica of that flag, the pennon of Hexham Priory has been carried round the mare, by men unmarried. To celebrate the 400th anniversary or quarter centenary for the common riding of 1914, Hawick organised a great exiles homecoming and a pageant in the Volunteer Park. The brainchild of the man we gien the common riding that we ken the day, the legend that was ex-Cornet Jed Murray. And a public subscription having been gotten up, sculptors were invited to submit ideas for a permanent memorial to be erected here in Central Square, to be unveiled on the Thursday of Common Riding Week. A young Hawick man based in Edinburgh, William Beattie, grandson of Hawick's pioneer photographer, William Beattie, and son of Thomas Beattie, the Hawick sculptor, who had done much of the ornamental work on the Buccleuch Memorial, submitted the successful design that's looking down on the day. Now, there are several interesting details in the statue which a lot of folk have never noticed. For instance, the breastplate is very big for the rider, and that's because he was just a boy, and he's depicted wearing his feathers breastplate. But the wee touch that clinched the awarding of the commission to William Beattie is the horse itself. The callant is triumphantly bearing aloft the banner blue that bears the Golden Cross, but the horse has obviously been in a battle. It's fared in, it's jiggered, and that touch of realism is what is supposed to have won the day for the young sculptor who was just 26. Have I been fascinated by this monument? And I'm learning more about it all the time. A man from Eckford phoned us not that long ago to say that the face of the callant was modelled on that of his grandfather, the 1888 cornet A.H. Drummond, who was a friend of the Beattie family. Then I was insking at the library when I was stopped by a man who said he'd reckon me, but I've been meaning to tell you that the horse that William Beattie used to do the preliminary sketches belonged to my wife's grandfather at Boswell's. It was the canniest horse imaginable, and it was able to stand with its feet up in a bucket for hour and hour while the drawings were done. Now, just in passing cornet, what I've seen of your horse, admirable attributes, though it undoubtedly has, standing with its feet up in a bucket for hour and hour to be drawn, might not be in of them. Sadly now, the late ex-cornet Willie McTaggart tell us how, as a wee boy, gone to spend his Saturday penny, noted with wonder the arrival in Central Square of a big thing covered in tarpaulin, and the whole town waited with bated breath to see what mystery was to be revealed. It was due to be unveiled by the Duchess of Buccleuch, but she was her head, and she sent her daughter, Lady Sybil Scott, to do it instead. And when she pulled the cord that led to the dropping away of the muckle tarpaulin, there were gasps of awe as the memorial first saw the light of day. I was just showing slides in darkest Scala Shields, and an old woman made a hint at the end to tell us that she, as a wee lassie, had presented the bouquet to Lady Sybil Scott after the unveiling. She was a daughter of the Galashiels manufacturing family, the Cochrans, but her grandfather was Robert Purdom, the Hawick town clerk, and she did enough of her getting to sleep the night before up at her grandparents' house, Westwood on Sunny Hill. But her granny gave her a sleeping pill, which did the trick, and it wasn't until much later in life she discovered that the sleeping pill had been the 1914 equivalent of a Smartie. There are two inscriptions on the memorial. One records the unveiling on Thursday, 4th June 1914. The other has a quotation from Horace. Now, you mind of Horace? Brother of Joe and Hen and Daphne and Maggie and the twins and the bairn. Well, what not a lot of folk ken is that Horace was a dab hand at Latin poetry, and a line of his is quoted on the other tablet on the memorial. Mercis profundo pulcrior e venit, which literally translated reads, plunged into the depths, he emerged more fair. And it's a reference to the Merse or borderland recovering after flooding. I tell an audience about this yince, and a man came up at the end and suggested that a good translation of plunged into the depths, he emerged more fair would be you can't keep a good man down, which I think is gay appropriate for Hawick in both the past, and it's up to us to make sure the future. Among the dignitaries in the platform party yon day of the unveiling was Peter Scott, the hosiery manufacturer, and in his remarks he paid tribute to William Beattie, saying he was a young man with a great future before him, and at no distant time would no doubt be one of Hawick's most distinguished sons. But sadly, it wasn't to be. For little did any of the young men we watched the unveiling that day realise that in a few short weeks they would be heading off to northern France and Belgium, and in the following year to a terrible place called Gallipoli, to take part in a much greater skirmish than the yin at Horn's Hole, and yin for which many of them wouldn't return. And among those who lie the day, fair frae Bonnie Teviotdale, is Major William Beattie, MC RFA, the sculptor of the horse, who was killed just a month before armistice on the 3rd of October 1918, and his father Thomas performed the sad duty of carving the details of his son's death on the monument, which was to be his everlasting memorial. It was with a sense of incredulity that Hawick folk learned that the statue was to be moved. Now Hawick's choked with cars, and the plan that would relieve it means having to move the horse. Whoever would have believed it. My father's cousin, Bill Landels, one of Scotland's finest sculptors, regards the 1514 memorial as one of the finest equestrian statues in Britain. He was taught at Edinburgh Art College by Andrew Dodds, who had actually worked with William Beattie on the making of the horse. And Bill was very apprehensive that the statue would be that fragile that it would be in serious danger of falling to bits if moving it was attempted. And he had visions of Ian Scott having to change his common riding banner from "I can say the horse from here" to "I used to could say the horse from here, and I wish I still could." Any row Hawick has seen in the past would have paled into insignificance if our precious monument had been damaged. Thankfully, all the fears proved to have been unnecessary, as on Wednesday, March the 5th, between 10:15 and 10:05, the horse was safely moved. It was given them to put a rug over it to ease the trauma, and it seemed totally unfazed by all that was being done to it. It had a good peek into the chemist one day as it went by, and it emerged, unsullied and unstained from its ordeal. We pay tribute to those responsible for its moving experience, for the care that they took, and it was interesting to hear them say that the statue is as strong now as the day it was unveiled. Before this, on Thursday, February 20th, workman Matt Moffat quite unexpectedly came on a time capsule, a Craig the Chemist's bottle with a grand glass stopper, in which was the strangest assortment of hastily flung together photos, membership and business cards and curiosities, including 2 cigarettes, a dummy tit and chocolate worm cake. I was asked by then Councillor Jim Scott to get together a group to decide what to do with this time capsule. The contents having been duly photographed and recorded and having been on display in Hamish's shop, but who felt it was only right that they should now go back in to where they had come from. Our group were also given the remit of coming up with items for a modern day time capsule, which has been purchased with money from the Hawick Common Good Fund. A letter to the Hawick News asked for suggestions as to what should go in, and we were inundated with ideas and with actual memorabilia from many of the years between 1914 and now. We had that many suggestions, and being obviously limited in terms of space, we had to make the decision to restrict it as far as possible, with just 1 or 2 exceptions, to memorabilia reflective of life in Hawick in the years 2002 and 2003. The full list of what we've put in will appear in this week's Hawick News, but it includes photographs, books, videos, CDs, programmes, dinner menus, pair of the ribbons ex-Cornet Stephen Anderson tied to the monument, a tin of Hawick balls, a lottery ticket, a top-up phone card, a modern-day dummy tit, and a cigarette packet with a government health warning. The contents have all been vacuum-packed by Lindsay Grieve and inserted by Hamish Smith, who has done a power of work on this whole project, and is also bringing out a limited edition commemorative mug. I'd like to thank Hamish and the other members of our group, Oliver Angus, Madge Elliott, Bob Muir, Fran Paxton and Bill Thompson. I'd like to thank the contractors and Stephen Rennick of Scottish Borders Council for all their cooperation, and in advance to thank Cornet Gregg and Last Laura. We will shortly insert the time capsule, which you're recommending isn't opened again until 2114, when I suspect no money who has here today will be around to side. I thank you for your attendance and for your attention. You've participated in a unique occasion. Since the unfair of June Day in 1914, when William Beattie's magnificent masterpiece first emerged under its tarpaulin, right through to this afternoon, it has held a very special place in the hearts of our Tyrries, for it has become the symbol o' the dauntless pride o' Hawick, oor border hame, and like Hornsole Brig, long as our famous horse shall stand, the trusty valour through the land shall tell the story, proud and grand, of Hawick on the border. I conclude with a fervent hope that our beloved 1514 memorial, which for Maisto will I just simply be the horse, will now be left in peace.
Twins the pride that stands on the bonny Teviot side, whose fame has reached the world wide. Old Hawick on the border, for these lang syne I wot ye will, our sons made English foemen fill the crushing weight of Scottish steel, and drove them o'er the border. Then long as Teviot flows its tide through many a valley fair and wide, let Callan's love with honest pride their tone upon the border. For Callan's once at Flodden's fight, renowned for deeds of matchless might, when Scotland's valour sank in night, shone Hawick's on the border, and long as Hornsole Brig shall stand, the trusty valour through the land shall tell the story proud and grand of Hawick on the border. Then long as Teviot rolls its tide through many a valley fair and wide, let Callan's love with honest pride their tone upon the border. Ang me that tattered standard wave, a trophy won by band so brave, who Scotland's honour strove to save from the flight and wild disorder. And never may the memory die of dauntless might and courage high, or teary bus the slogan cry of Hawick on the border. Then long as Teviot rolls its tide through many a valley fair and wide, let Callan's love with honest pride their tone upon the border. Bonny Tun on Teviot side, be ever thou each Callan's bride, although he wanders far and wide from Scotland's classic border. And let that freedom which of yore the fathers fired who went before, live in their sons forevermore. Of Hawick on the border, then
involved in today's historic event. Firstly, our thanks must go to Ian Landals and his hard-working committee for their organisation and selection of items for inclusion in the council. Ian has a unique style of promoting our town. What would Hawick do without him? Secondly, to our man of the moment, Cornet Greg MacLeod and his lass Laura, for assisting in this historic moment. Greg, you have again carried out another duty with assurance and pride. It's easy to understand why you are proving to be such a popular cornet. Our thanks also go to our song singer Michael Aitken and the Saxhorn Band. We are indeed fortunate to have such talent in the town. To my godson, Ian Scott, where are you, Ian? A big thank you for providing the PA system so that we could be heard above the noise of the builders. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, to you for coming along this afternoon and taking part in another defining moment in Hawick's proud history. Thank you.